Welcome back, everybody, to our Sequester podcast. We're going to be talking about episode 3, and we'll talk about episode 4 later in this episode. Starting with this episode, we'll go ahead and talk about Natalie winning, not getting an LOS. Any thoughts on Natalie?
No, not really. Glad that she won. I'm glad that she had that moment of, redemption and whatnot, but, she's back to being kind of in the background.
So who went up for you in this episode and who went down?
So one of my ups was Marcelo. He went up for sure. And I'm trying hard not to pick Billy, but Billy, she's just constantly playing a great game. So Marcelo and Billy.
Why Marcelo?
Marcelo went up for me because I felt that he played this round the best. Even though he went into elimination, I felt like he had the best strategy going in. His strategy was to go with the name that he was told, which originally he was told the correct name. And then he left it up to fate. And I think that he played it really beautifully because he was never the target. He made everybody feel bad for kind of, him being in the crossfires. And I just felt like he really worked being in the elimination round to his advantage. And I don't know, I really think Marcelo, he's kind of playing a Billy game of being very likable and under the radar. And he's doing what I wish everyone else would do in this game, which is kind of just sit back a little bit, and let it all unfold as much as you can in a week-long game.
You probably won't agree, but I'm actually going to put Serene up for this episode because I feel like she is covering her base as well. She's doing a very good job of just making sure she's in a good spot with multiple people. That's why I would have her.
I do think Shireen she is also playing a more subdued game now, which I like. I felt like she came in a little stronger though than how she's acting now. So my opinion on her has changed for the better. But she's still a snake. And I do wish she would just kind of revel in it. I mean, she's teaming up with Marcelo of all people. Like, come on now. At least Marcelo's open about the fact that he's sneaky. Shireen is sneaky, and I stand by that.
We'll get to the whole snake thing because I don't know if I agree with it. But who went down for you?
I mean, Muna obviously went down, but I don't know if I can vote someone that got voted out. But Muna went down. I guess someone that's in the game, Spencer, went down for me big time. Spencer's probably just going to be going down every week until he gets eliminated or he wins. But
yeah, Spencer went down for me as well because I don't think he can win. I think he's already 3 episodes in, put himself in a spot where even if he makes the end, he probably doesn't get the winning vote. His show game is terrible.
I agree. I think Spencer is going to always be fighting and battle backs every week. And I don't really know his sequester history and why he's such a big target, but he's not doing anything to minimize that target. Every time he opens his mouth, he just reiterates the fact that he is a target. So yeah, he's down for sure. And it's going to be the same shit next week, just with a different twist.
100%. So this week's challenge was majority rules. We'll start with the first group that really allegedly decided a name. It was so early in the game. It was Brendan, Muna, Josh, Marcelo, Spencer, Billy, and Brent. They were all going to vote for Josh. What are your thoughts on this group? And I mean, obviously it didn't stay that way.
So I thought that first group, they should have known going right into it that was, honestly, Josh should have just been the fake name after that group disbanded, because I think Billy said it best. That wasn't going to work. Nobody in her alliance was in it. Spencer was in it. Come on, Spencer. You really think you were going to luck up and get the majority to be on your side in the first 35 seconds? Come on now. I'm not surprised at all that, that name didn't stick. And I mean, at that point, just read the room, just read the room. Think, is there anyone in this room that fucks with me? And if you can't name more than 3 or 4 people, which would give you the majority, then come on now. No.
Should Brent, of all people, expected that to be stay the same like he did?
Yes, because I do think that Brent is one of the people in the room that could have named, 3 or 4 people that he for sure knew were on his side. Like, I was also surprised that he was left out of the loop because, I mean, he had the whole. I mean, I don't even want to refer back to the Six because I feel like the Six is just such a fake ass alliance. But I mean, like, I don't know. I don't feel like he's that. I don't know. But he also is kind of disliked in the game. So maybe I'll throw Brent in the same boat with Spencer. Actually, yeah. Never mind.
Now, while this was going on, Shireen was butting up to Natalie. So, once again, I think she's showing that she's maybe playing the long game and not the short game like a lot of players.
I agree, but why Natalie of all people? Like, I mean, like, come on now. Natalie had her moment, and I hope she proves me wrong. But is Natalie is she about that smoke? Is she gonna do anything after this one little move she made?
I mean, I think it's more so just to make sure, like, Natalie is someone I think that could be on Shireen's side, because, I mean, why not?
Right.
So Billy is one of the people that doesn't agree with the votes. Muna is another one. Muna wants to make sure Brett and Spencer are on the outside of the votes because they're after her. But while this is going on, Jacob is throwing Muna under the bus. He thinks Muna didn't. He's basically saving his own ass to throw Muna under the bus. I guess this goes back to the first episode, but it's kind of soon, do you think?
Yeah, I also took note of that. Like, this whole Jacob v. Muna situation that kind of came out of nowhere. And ultimately, I guess it worked in his favor because, he's already kind of starting to cut ties. And I think we saw it come to a head very quickly. Like, he had a conversation with Natalie, and Natalie was like, oh, I'd be willing to vote Muna out, later down the road. But, there is no later down the road now because Muna ends up getting eliminated. That was just very bizarre. It came out of nowhere.
Jacob plays this game where he's good with a lot of people. Now he has to cut people. Can that fuck him in a jury?
No. In this instance with Muna, I don't think it'll fuck him on the jury. No. Because yes, he and Muna had that like head to head at the very end when they were trying to throw each other in for the battle back. But that's like a situational thing where it's like, look, I'm gonna try and save myself. But Muna is unaware of the other fuck shit that Jacob was pulling to try and actually, turn Natalie against her. So I think Jacob lucked up in the situation, unless it somehow gets back to Muna that he's been two-faced.
She gets out on a jury though, so if it definitely could get back to her. Then we also have Natalie and Billy mending their relationship after the last episode, which you kind of called.
Natalie's doing this whole shit where she's like, oh, Billy feels so bad and Billy owes me. And I'm like, Billy, no, the fuck she doesn't. Like, let's be real, Natalie. You need Billy to be in the majority because you know that Billy has the numbers. Come on now. Like, don't try and play it for anything other than what it is. You're on the outs and you need a connection like Billy. And now you've got a little bit of leverage, which has now been used. So I hope she doesn't go into the rest of this game thinking that Billy owes her one. Billy paid it and it's over.
You think she'll try and seek revenge on Billy sooner rather than later?
We'll see about that because Billy has been doing some things in this game that if I was playing the game, Billy would hardcore be on my radar. But I don't know if she is on other people's radar. And I hope she's on Natalie's radar because now would be the good time to start screwing Billy over.
But I guess it comes down to, can Natalie really do anything at the moment? She got a while to go.
Exactly. Can she rally the votes? Exactly. Can she rally the votes when Billy brings the numbers? Exactly. That's such a good question. I don't know.
So in the end, it was everyone except Brett, Spencer, and Marcelo who were not in the majority. Any other thoughts on that?
I mean, no, I don't have any. I mean, we knew that Spencer was always going to be on the outs. I cannot believe that Spencer really thought that he was going to be with the majority. Like, come on now. And Brent, I guess I can now see the same. Marcelo, again, I think Marcelo played the best game. I think that he just went where he needed to go. I don't know. I was really happy with how Marcelo played this round. So, and it worked fully to his advantage.
I have some qualms with this snake edit though, with this snake. background because I get he has a reputation in the mini. So far this season, what's been so snaky?
I mean, I think this whole six alliance is just like a six-headed snake. Marcelo is he's a snake.
But how is he a bigger snake than, say, Jacob?
That's fair. I'm not saying that Jacob isn't a snake. You are 100% correct.
I just find the snakehead a little premature because he hasn't really been a snake.
I guess what was the strategy for this game? What was the best way to play this game?
I mean, I feel like the people in the majority played it the best way. Pick a random name like Rachel.
But I guess like the issue, to me, the downfall of the majority, which I guess that initial majority was never going to be anyways, right? Because we both said Spencer and Brent were never supposed to be in that. But I think that what should have happened was you should have had six people all look at each other and say, it is us six, say a name, and then like sit on the couch and don't go anywhere. I think that's what should have happened. And then just let the other five people scramble and be like, oh, what is the name?
I feel like that'd be hard for everybody in the sixth person to play that way, though, because then you're basically putting a target on yourself.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like Billy wouldn't be able to do that because that's not the game she played.
Right. Yeah, it is a very like but I like a straightforward game. Be like, yeah, well, I guess what I'm saying is like they were all doing too much moving around. Or like if that's the six, then the six needs to always be in the same room for that 10 minutes. Like every single conversation, the same six just need to always be in the same room. Always. Which kind of happened when I think there was like a four that was supposed to stick together. And I think the four, it was like Billy told Natalie, go with me to every room. So I think that was really the strategy, is just to stay with your numbers in every single conversation.
True. So how do you think Brent and Spencer did trying to not have the votes on them? I mean, Spencer did terrible, but thoughts?
Why do you think Spencer did terrible?
Because he was doing this whole intimidation thing, but like, I don't know. I said it last week, he's so whiny.
I can relate a little bit more with Spencer because it's like when you're in that situation, you're going to do whatever. Like, yeah, I'm going to do I mean, it's no different than what Josh did. He intimidated Brent. He said, if you vote me, I'm going to take you into a battle match. So, I mean, I think Spencer is just using anything that he can use to not be the number or to not be the vote. And I don't think that that's wrong. I think it's all fair in the game.
But I mean, he didn't really have a good argument. Brent was at least bringing logic into why you should go with Spencer.
Yeah, I do agree. And I do think that Brent was saying, if you vote for Spencer now, statistically, your chances are smaller of getting voted in. And then it was weird because Spencer was using the same argument, but it's like, Spencer, you can't take every fucking body into a battle match. So I don't know. I mean, I agree. I think that Spencer was using what he could, but I do agree that Brent ultimately had the better argument, which is like, yeah, statistically, we should just try and get this fucker out now and hope that whoever he faces in the battle match is strong enough to beat him.
Maybe something that wasn't great for Brent's logic was rating. Did you like his way of rating?
Oh, I loved it because he's right. I do think, like, especially when in my season when I played, like, yeah, I mean, sure, you're trying to win, and I don't know if this particular game, if there's a financial reward at the end, but for our game, I wanted it to be entertaining at the end of the day. I wanted to bring some tea and get the viewers. So I'm here for it. I don't know that he used the D word. You know how I feel about that. I don't know that he deserves to stay, but I do think he's right in saying that he's a very polarizing player. So
he also had a good point that this isn't Survivor. I mean, the physical challenge was like Pong, which was not huge.
Yeah, that is annoying me because I feel like, yes, nobody wants to take Spencer into a battle back, but I'm like, first of all, looking at Spencer, like, what about him screams athleticism? He looks like a very average, like, tall, lanky white boy. Like, nothing about him screams fucking, Olympian. So that's irritating. But also, yeah, these battle backs aren't physical. Like the most physical thing was throwing a ball, which anybody is capable of doing. But then it's also really irritating because Shireen keeps trying to make it about, oh, we're not going to pull a bitch move where, you know, a man votes a woman out. And I'm like, I'm going to pick whoever the fuck I think I can beat in a battle match, period. So I don't really understand the whole gender aspect of the battle matches.
I think it goes back to Spencer being ridiculous and that, oh my god, I'm such a big physical threat, and then I'm going to pick a woman. It's kind of like, I don't know, he's not helping his argument anyway.
Right. But also, like, if he picks a woman, he has the same, it doesn't matter. Like, why is it a gender thing? Like, so that's what I just need to be clear. Is it a gender-based thing or is it not? Because Shireen keeps saying, well, it's a dick move to, you know, take a woman into a battle back, but it's like, right, but if they're all gender neutral, then why does it matter? I'm going to take whoever I think I can be. I'm going to take the dumbest, least physically agile person I can take. That's who I'm going to take into a battle back.
I just think it goes to Spencer's whole persona, which is just not working.
Say that again?
It's just Spencer's whole persona that's not working out. It comes back to Spencer.
I mean, I think he's just constantly in the bottom. And I think when you're in the bottom, you get desperate and you say stupid shit to try and save yourself.
It's not that, though. Spencer has done something that is so hard to do. He's getting the edit that is the unrootable underdog. He's the unrootable underdog because he has that bad of a social game.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really understand where the whole, again, I don't know if it stems from previous seasons. I don't know where he gets this whole thing that he's some physical threat, because looking at him, I think I could take Spencer any fucking battle match. The guy has no muscle. He's fucking lanky as shit. So I don't really understand why he keeps walking around like he's a physical threat. He's no more intimidating than Brent, Brendan, Rachel, Billy, fucking Muna. I don't really understand why he keeps throwing that out there. So he's got to pull something. He's got to pull something out of his ass, right? I mean, what's a better argument for him then, you know?
Well, he needs to pull his head out of his ass first, because right now his social game is stuck in there because it's shit. Who's is very good, kinda, is Billy, who, you know, decided she was going to throw on Marcelo.
Yeah. What'd you think about that? I'll let you go first.
I think this should be the move that puts her on people's radar.
100%. That's exactly what I was going to say. And I really hope somebody like Natalie, like, give me a reason to root for you, Natalie. I really hope that she picks up on that, because that just goes to show Billy's social pull in this game. The fact that she has to throw a vote and gets that opportunity. And to me, like, when it's really, you know, 1 versus 1, because we all knew Marcelo wasn't going to be a viable vote, not voting is just as bad as voting to me, because it's like, if you're not a number for Spencer or you're not a number for Brent, you're not helping either one of them. So if I'm Spencer or I'm Brent, I'm going to be pissed off at Billy, because it's like, well, you didn't do anything to help me, you know?
I mean, kinda. I feel like her move was, like, it worked because she did get chosen to say who she voted for.
Right. I mean, yeah, but I think she would have been damned either way. But I do think that this whole throwing a vote needs to put her on people's radars, because it needs to be like, what type of ties does Billy have in this game that she can't even cast a vote now?
In the end, it is Spencer who is voted for, and he elects to take in Muna into the battle match.
I feel like this is like the player I dislike versus the player you dislike type of challenge. I don't know. What were your thoughts on him picking Muna?
I mean, I understand why he did it, because she didn't help herself the last 2 rounds. Being against Spencer, I still think it was a bitch move on his part, though, because I mean, he found out Jacob voted for him, and then he still picks Muna.
Is it a bitch move because Muna's a woman?
Yes, only because of the way Spencer was acting. Like, oh my god, I'm the big physical threat, and then he calls everybody stupid for choosing him. It makes 0 sense.
I don't understand. I don't understand why it is bad to pick any. I just really wish we would take the gender aspect out of it. Why does it matter who you pick for a battle match? Pick the person that you just think overall you can beat. maybe he just thought holistically overall he'd have a better shot at Muna versus Jacob. So I don't know that it's a bitch move to pick Muna just solely based off of the fact that she's
That's not why, though. It's a bitch move because of the way he was acting leading up to this.
I mean, yeah, I'll agree to that. Spencer is a very unlikable person in this game. 100%. 100% will give you that. I do think that he also, though, his hand is always forced and he really, like, he's just always at the bottom.
But he's always at the bottom because of himself.
Well, I don't know about that. What happened in that first vote with Katie? What happened in the very first episode? Why was he at the bottom?
I mean, he really wasn't at the bottom. He just thought he was.
Okay.
Because Brent wanted him to be with him, so Brent had numbers.
Right. So then what happened in the second part where he was at the bottom?
Oh, I guess maybe because the killer killed him. I don't know.
Right. Okay. So then in that sense, yes, he was killed by Billy. But then also Muna, you know, pulled that whole bullshit where she's like, well, I can't vote for Natalie. I mean, obviously she's from Minnesota. I can't do that, you know.
But still, he has this whole defeatist attitude.
Right.
I don't know. You hate the deserved word, but he's the worst defender. He feels like he just deserves everything, even though his social game is terrible.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to say because I'm not disagreeing with you about any of these things. I'm just saying that his back is he's constantly in the bottom, so I don't know what else he's supposed to do about it. Like, I agree, he's very unlikable and he's obnoxious, but he's also constantly in the bottom, so it's like he's not really given the chance to not have to say some fucked up shit in order to survive the vote.
I just feel like if he had even a slightly better social game, he'd be better off.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, but I don't have any sympathy for Muna. I'm sorry. I felt like she did too much, and I think we just saw it come to a head in this episode because a lot of the conflict that she had with Spencer was just so unnecessary. Like, watching this episode, there was a moment where she was in the room with Spencer and just lied, just outwardly lied, and was like, I want to, like, it was when the Josh vote thing happened. And she's like, right, like, I really want to make good with you. And it's like, why are you fucking lying? Just like after the Josh vote, Muna should have just fucking left and found her alliance. But no, she went and she lied, and then she backstabbed him. And it's like, what else? Like, but then you want to go and you throw it on toxic masculinity. And it's like, no, you lied to him, and you constantly are just like, have made this guy a target to you, which is fair, but just own up to it. And then, like, when she goes up to him, once he's already been nominated for elimination, and she's like basically trying to like back her way out of being nominated, I think he was totally fair in what he told her, which is no, fuck off. I'm not going to waste my time talking to you, because Muna has made her stance clear through her actions. If you don't fuck with somebody, just be real and say, I don't fuck with you. I would have been like, bitch, please, I'm going to go change the name right goddamn now, Spencer. Like, just be open about your target. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't like it.
I mean, I feel like we had two different arguments. Yours is regarding Muna, mine is regarding Spencer. I don't know. I just feel like he can't bitch and moan that he's on the bottom and then call out for people.
And I don't think that Muna can bitch and moan and scream that somebody's, you know, is toxic masculinity or whatever the fuck that has to do with anything, when she clearly caused this issue with Spencer herself. I'm not saying Spencer doesn't have issues, right? Spencer is clearly an obnoxious player in the game, right? We can agree on that. But this issue with Muna, she brought solely on herself, okay? So he pulled exactly who he needed to pull in the battle match, and the only other good person to pull in the battle match would have been Jacob. But again, I think he did that because I think for some reason he seems to think that all of these battle matches are going to be fucking basketball or some shit, and that Jacob would have been a bigger threat.
He did because it was a bitch. But anyway, I digress. Any final thoughts on episode 3?
I don't disagree with you about the bitch move.
Well, that's all for episode 3.
We're going to go watch episode 4 right now. So
we are back having watched episode 4 of season 4 of Sequester. What are your initial thoughts, and who is up for you and who is down?
I haven't thought about it yet. I'll let you go first.
I guess up for me, I will put... That's a hard one to put up this week. Honestly, I'm going to put Jacob up, I guess. I mean, he got voted out, but he's coming back in and he has numbers. So down, I will put Spencer again.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're just gonna keep saying a wash, rinse, and repeat of Spencer until it finally works. He's like lice. Just gotta keep scrubbing your scalp till you get rid of his ass. I mean, he can't. This isn't a sustainable way to win the game. And even if he makes it to the end, I think Shireen was right in her statement that he won't get votes. He's just so fucking deplorable. I can't think of anyone he could go up against.
Who was up?
I guess I'm gonna put Josh up. I'm gonna put Josh and a lot of these middle players. Like if I could pick multiple people, it would be the Joshes, Brendan, which Brendan almost got in some hot water there, but he just shut the fuck up and he managed to skate his way out of it. And I think that is the key. That's what I keep saying is like, shut up. Just do not talk. Like there's so much value to just literally not speaking. I think Josh played this round perfectly. He didn't make any waves. He's got his LOS. I've got Josh to make it to the end for sure.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. And I think Brendan is actually in a very good spot as well. He's playing a pretty good game by being cool, I guess.
Is Sequester a floater's game?
I mean, this season it's looking like it. We'll go ahead and start with Spencer coming back in ready to burn bridges. I knew as soon as he was coming back in, he was going to be burning more bridges. I don't understand how his read on everything is so bad and he refuses to change it up. He just wants to play victim is what it comes down to, right?
I mean, again, I'm not making an excuse for Spencer. I agree that he's a dislikable person, 100%. I do get, though, that when you are in the bottom, you're desperate. But I also think that if you're repeatedly on the bottom, maybe you would come in a little more humble and a little more eager to try and actually make genuine bonds with people. And I've said this before with the Josh and Brent vote. You don't make allies by threatening people, okay? You will get yourself through the vote, which I can respect. But yes, you have to fully understand that you burn those bridges. And so then when you end back up in the bottom, how can you be like, oh, once again? And I fucking hate his like, when he claps, I'm like, fuck you, Spencer. Go away, okay? Just go away.
Well, in this episode, we had the tethered twist. So I tried to take notes. It was kind of hard in this episode, but we have Natalie was tethered to Josh. So if Josh got voted out, it would also be Natalie, I guess is how this worked. Brent was tethered to Billy to Spencer, Spencer to Jacob. Rachel to Marcelo, Josh to Brendan, Shireen to Brent, Jacob to Natalie, Brendan to Rachel, and Rachel to Marcelo. We started this episode with a bit of a Billy versus Jacob because Billy catches Jacob in his bullshit because he's the real snake of the season. Marcelo has done this much compared to Jacob. So any thoughts on how Billy was going to go after Jacob?
Yeah, this was just an emotional episode for Billy overall. I mean, I think she got pretty fucked when she drew Spencer's name. I actually knew that she drew Spencer before it even was announced. I could tell by her facial reaction. I was like, oh yeah, she drew Spencer. But to your question, I think that she was right to be skeptical of Jacob because like we'd said before, I mean, his attack on Muna just came out of nowhere, you know? And I guess, it's dwindling down. The numbers are starting to wind down. Are starting to get to the end. But I do think that was kind of that should be a huge red flag for everyone in Jacob's alliance that he would so easily throw Muna, his number 1.15 or whatever she was, under the bus. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was definitely easy to see why Jacob became a target in this round because he's his game's coming back to bite him in the ass. And Billy was definitely the one going for her, but he also had some shit against Billy because she, what you said during the last episode that she had some red flags of her own.
Yeah, I like that. I like that people picked up on it. That was good. But then I didn't really like seeing people go after Billy because, I am rooting for Billy to go to the end. But I don't know. I felt like Jacob, this was a scenario of like right message, wrong messenger. Like, Jacob, you've been doing your fuck shit in the game. So for you to sit there and to call out anyone's gameplay being foul, and I also wouldn't say that Billy is playing scared. Like, that's not the right terminology for it. I think that she has her hand in too many pots, like Natalie said. And I'm glad that Natalie peeped it. And I wish that Natalie, even though I'm rooting for Billy, I wish that Natalie would have put the target more on Billy, because Natalie really had the chance to swing that vote and to determine who Spencer was going to go up against in the battle back. So
Yeah, Natalie's struggling. She's not really playing the greatest of games. She's probably my least favorite left in the game. We also have Josh and Brent having to come together again. They've had their moments where Josh threatened Brent, but then last week Josh voted for Brent. What do you take from these two relationships?
I think that they're on the same page in the sense of they don't take anything that they're doing personal. And I love that, because I feel like this game, and especially this episode, was just very personal and emotional. So they're like, seeing those two interact is like definitely a breath of fresh air. And I like it. I like their alliance out of necessity, and I like that it comes and goes. But I think that they're more unified than they aren't. And I think that they're just really not trying to make it a thing and to publicize it, because once they openly acknowledge it, then it becomes something that's like able to be targeted. So I really like where they are with their alliance.
Yeah, also there was a lot going on during this tether. It was hard to actually take notes, but we had Brendan's name getting thrown out for the first time, and he's not feeling it. Natalie's the one doing most of the throwing, so Brendan comes out and with some threats of his own against Natalie.
Where did that even come from? Like, okay, I'm here for that. They're like, Natalie, you gotta boss up, you gotta make a move. And that's true, but like, you gotta know how to read the room. And like, throwing out Brendan's, it was just such a bad, like, forget Brendan for a second. It was just such a bad look for Natalie. Like, she literally threw out Brendan's name, found out that her other ally, Josh, was tethered to Brendan, and then literally was like, I didn't know, and had to go like pussy pop and backtrack her way out of that. And she just looked dumb. It was just not a cute episode for her.
It really was not a great episode for her. It was almost a great episode for Shireen until the end, because she was spitting facts about the floaters in this game, because the floaters don't help anybody but themselves, I guess. Any thoughts on all the floating in this game? Because there seems to be a lot of it.
I don't think that I can be too critical of the floaters, because I feel like I'm kind of encouraging a game of floating a little bit. Because I do kind of think some people need to dial it down. Sometimes you just need to go where the numbers are going. And I think that there's a lot of value to that right now, because clearly the people who are outspoken, the people who are trying to make moves, just end up looking fucking dumb like Natalie, or they end up in a battle match. So I feel like the best way to go is to float. I mean, and if someone like Brendan has a really good shot, because okay, he floated, maybe his resume is not extensive, but come on, people like Brendan. What has he done to anyone?
It's true. It's what has him in a good position. I guess, how does Brent, he's so outspoken and yet he never gets voted in or picked for a battle match. He seems to be the one outlier of the person that can not float and also not get chosen.
I think Brent is kind of like me in my season, where like, I feel like he's so easy to get rid of when you actually, like, when they decide to do away with him, it's so easy to do it that what's going to happen is he's going to float his way to the end, and you're like, oh, fuck, and it's over. It's over. So I think Brent needs to just keep doing what he's doing, because it's working.
Yeah, apparently also all he needs to do is get to the final four, and then it's a competition. So if he could just get to the final four, then he might have a shot at the final two.
But isn't that his whole? I mean, if he doesn't want to go into a battle back, then how is he going to fare in a Final Four competition?
It depends what it is, I guess.
That was actually something I wanted to address because this is irking the shit out of me. It's like this whole idea of who to take into battle backs, and we saw it clearly with Spencer. Like, come on, Spencer. Brendan was the obvious choice to take, and I agree. Like, this was a bitch move. The Muna move, I know you'll call it a bitch move. I know that you disagree. The Muna move was valid, and I said what I said, and I stand by what the fuck I said. But clearly, in this instance, Brendan was the move to make. Brendan would have been, because it's like you either take out Spencer, who's really powerful, or you take out Brendan, who's really likable. But him taking out Shireen made no sense. He knows it made no sense. And it was clearly because he thinks that he can beat Shireen. And it's like, I don't get what the basis of fear is for these people because none of these challenges are physical. It's not like Jacob beat Rachel because it was physical. It was because he just lucked up and got higher numbers, you know? So I don't really, it's really irritating me how they're trying to make this like on the basis of gender and shit because it doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Well, it seems to matter because there is a trend starting. We have Jacob and Spencer who's voting on it. Every time somebody's been voted, they've chosen a woman to go into the battle match with. Why?
I would beat any of them in a battle match. Sequester producers, if you see this, I will stand by that. Digging in dirt and finding numbers, I would beat any of them in a fucking, like, it makes no sense. Put me in a battle match. It doesn't matter. Like, that's what's so annoying. It's like, why are you picking women? And I agree. Like, Jacob picked Rachel, and I'm sure it's because he thought that he could beat Rachel, but it's like, why? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because right now, especially if Jay West wins the battle back, there's going to be 7 men and 2 women left.
Who are the 2 women?
Billy and Natalie. Natalie's not looking very great.
Natalie is the only floater that'll get to the end and not win. Like all these other floaters are in good positions. Marcelo, his to win. Fucking Natalie. It's not even like she has the opposite of a resume. Like she has like minuses on her resume of just dumb shit that she's done that has like degressed her game. So degress, is that a word? I don't know. But Natalie's it, okay?
I do kind of want to talk about this actually, though, because in these games, even in my games, there's a whole trend of either women not getting a lot of respect in the game or women just being constantly voted out. So why is this a thing?
Elaborate on this game.
On Sequester? Well, I'm just saying that if they just pick a woman every time there's a battle match, then I guess there's some merit to what Katie and Muna were saying in past rounds.
What were Katie and Muna saying in past rounds, just to clarify?
Why would you take a woman? Why are you taking women? Basically, was their argument.
See, the way when I heard that, I took it as like them. I think they're all guilty of playing the gender card. So I'm not going to just say like Katie and Muna and Shireen are making an issue where there isn't one, because clearly I know for Spencer there is one, and it's like, again, pick somebody because they're a good choice to make. And but like also Brendan would have just been a good choice to make. Like, yeah, take the opportunity to take a really strong player out of the game. Strong because he's doing so well socially, not strong because he's a skinny white boy who might be able to throw a ping pong ball. So I don't know. I think that the problems that were in our game with like the whole women just, you know, like being perceived as bitchy versus, you know, strategic, or being perceived as sneaky as opposed to, I guess, more stealth, right? You know, I think that's not so much an issue in this game, whereas, you know, it's just, I could beat you in a match. And like Brent said, they're all gender neutral. So like, why is this even, I think if anything, the vote just, or the pick that Spencer made just goes to show how much of a fucking idiot he is. He's an idiot. He's he's a ghetto Nick Jonas. He's an idiot, okay? He should have gone for Brendan when he has a chance to try and take someone strong. out of the game, and he went for Shireen. And I'm sure the fact that he keeps beating women, now he's probably going to try and target Billy and Natalie. I mean, come on, Natalie looks like a little skinny white girl that you could probably smoke in a challenge. But these challenges aren't physical, so just stop doing that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess getting Shireen out is actually a good move because she was playing a good social game and strategically. But overall, this trend is not. I don't know. Brent's talking about ratings, but the boot list so far in order isn't the greatest. Like we stuck with annoying people. We're stuck with a bunch of floaters. I mean, Brent can't be good TV by himself.
I mean, he's doing an okay job. I've enjoyed his. I enjoyed the hell out of that Billy Brent spat. That was entertaining. It was not a good look to watch either of them get so upset. Honestly, I didn't enjoy it, but it was entertaining.
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, we can talk about the battle back. It looked like it was going to come down to Jay Wester and Muna getting back into the game. Or one of them's going to get an LOS to send to somebody. Unless it was a fake, totally fake out, and it wasn't. One of them was wrong.
Yeah, I'm thinking Jay West won it. I mean, he pretty clearly looked like he had something in his hand, and so.
Maybe we could talk a little more about Billy and Brent's spat. I mean, why do you think Billy was so upset? Or do you think it was similar to you and Carrie when Carrie was out? Billy loses Muna, so she feels like her back's against the wall.
Nah, no, I disagree with that. Because I never felt like my back was against the wall losing Carrie. I thought it was fucked up, and I still don't think it was a good decision, Alex. But I refuse to allow that to dictate my game. And so I think Billy needs to do the same thing, where it's like, you losing someone shouldn't dictate your game if you're playing a good enough game, right? And it shouldn't. I mean, this was a shitty night for Billy, though, and especially once she realizes who's coming back, she will have lost Shireen and Rachel. So Billy, I'm gonna put her ass down. Actually, she's in danger after tonight once she sees what happened. I don't know. I just think Billy was just in her feelings. Maybe like it's game fatigue, even though it's probably only been like a couple days in the real world. I do think these games move so quickly, and you get so tired of like being in the hot seat that I do think you're more prone to just snapping. But I hope that she can recover from this. I wish she would have just shut the fuck up a little more. Like there were moments where she interjected where it was like, Billy, look, like you don't need to say anything. Because I was really scared that clearly Spencer was not going to take Brendan. Clearly, Brendan was the most obvious person to take.
Why not Brent, though?
I didn't understand where the Brent thing came from in the first place. I thought Brendan was more obvious to take. I was confused as to why Shireen chose to throw Brent under the bus as opposed to Brendan. I didn't really get it.
I will say, though, it seems like Spencer and Jacob could both work with Billy to an extent. Plus, Marcelo's already paid her back.
That was so dumb.
What was?
The whole like Marcelo's like, oh, I'm gonna charge you the price. No, like, and it didn't even matter. I mean, like, I would just pretend like she hadn't paid up because he was the only person I voted for. That was stupid. If I were Marcelo, like, no, you're gonna pay me in loyalty. That's how you're gonna pay me. Because like, you don't pay someone back by voting them. No. Unless Marcelo needed to throw his vote for some reason. Was that the logic behind it?
Well, I think it was because it looked like there was going to be a vote on Billy there for a while.
Right. So how are you charging her and how is she paying you back? That was just dumb. That Marcelo, I agree. Like, I think Marcelo played it well in episode 3, but episode 4, I think he really did just kind of show that strategically he's not entirely there because that didn't make a lot of sense. Keep Billy around and make her owe that debt to you. Marcelo needs to start thinking about when he's going to turn on Jacob because Jacob wins over Marcelo.
Yeah, there's really not a whole lot to show for Marcelo's game at this point in time. His game is actually pretty whack, and he's not a snake compared to other people.
But I think what's gonna end up, I don't know, it's like I'm conflicted because it's like on one hand, you want to build a resume, you want to have moves, but on the other hand, these floaters, I think they're really gonna be the ones that make it to the end. Which I don't know. Is Billy a floater?
I don't consider her a floater. I can see why she would be considered a floater because she has all these relationships, but she's at least tried to play it strategically.
Is Billy loyal?
That's debatable.
I
I mean,
don't.
she's loyal to specific people.
I don't know. She was trying to. I see what she was trying to do, but I mean, like, don't try and cry and be all emotional and act like you know that past vote really hurt you when really all you were trying to do was damage control. You did not vote for Brent because you're loyal to Brent. You didn't vote for Brent because you knew he was going to ruin your vote and you didn't want to take your ass to a battle match. So
I mean, I feel like her emotions with Jacob worked.
that was interesting too. I didn't like Jacob was so like whoever's out here, you know, being a pussy and like throwing their votes can expect to go into a battle match with me. And then literally Billy said, I'm loyal to you. And he's like, okay, well, you claimed me in public, so we're good. And I'm just like, that's all it took for you, Jacob?
Yeah. Any predictions for this next episode?
I think Billy's gonna be in some very hot water. I think that Billy has lost her numbers, right? She lost Shireen, she lost Rachel, she lost Muna. And I don't think she is going to have the power to. People are on to her now. So now she's going to have to start making decisive votes. And I don't know that she can rally the numbers between the group that's left. Like, who's really, I think Jacob and her, like, okay, you know, he was good this episode, but I think that there's a rift between them now. Natalie's so fucking lost. She's probably just going to arbitrarily target Billy, even though she's so fucking lost. Literally, her whole thing was, oh, I'm going to backstab Billy. Clear as day opportunity to do it. And she chooses to throw Brent under the bus and Sharon. Girl, get your ass on back to Minnesota and try again, boo boo, because this isn't it for you.
Yeah, I will say though, in these games, when there's so many women going, eventually the men become targets because it's inevitable. So maybe Billy could slide by a few rounds.
I don't know. I mean, I don't see it though. I don't see it because if Spencer keeps at this rate, Spencer's gonna keep going into battle matches, and he's gonna pull in Billy in the next battle. He's gonna do it. He's going to do it.
I think he would choose Natalie before Billy, but maybe I'm wrong. Like this fucking guy who's so fucking stupid.
Why? I mean, I think Natalie, as foolish as she played this game, the one good thing that came out of her fucking speech was that she literally would not change the trajectory of the game getting voted out. So she should be safe until the very end because she is just that irrelevant to everyone's game.
Touche.
So it has to be Billy next because I think, yeah, Billy kind of fucked herself by she threw one too many votes. The Marcella vote really just was not the move. I think there's a rift there with Brent now. I really wouldn't want to have to deal with his loud ass. I feel like, you know, he's known for publicly announcing his targets. So, you know, who knows what he might try and pull there with Billy. I don't know. I don't see this going too far for Billy. I've had her to take it, but who knows?
I will say for this battle back, it's not great that it's like totally a crapshoot. I think there should be some sort of skill in there to win the battle back.
Like what?
I don't know. It's just like find the right balloon and you fucking win the battle back. It's very random.
Yeah, but you could say that about all of the battle backs. You can say, I mean, fucking finding the highest numbered bead in sand. I mean, come on. But yet Spencer will target a woman to take. If anything, I wouldn't. If we're going purely off of gender stereotypes, I would take a blind ass, dumbass man who like doesn't pay attention to detail. That sounds like Brent's challenge or Brendan's challenge. Like I mean, which even though men want it, I guess, but like still, stereotypically, I would take a man into that challenge. So like, I don't know. These challenges are crap shots, which is why I don't understand why they put so much emphasis on like going up against someone.
Yeah, although it's a unique part of the game, it's kind of not the best way to go about it, I guess. I don't know. The trajectory of who's getting eliminated has not been.
So then my question is, how do we get rid of your boy Spencer? How does he go? What's the nail in his coffin?
I think there has to be a challenge where you have to literally build a bridge. He would probably lose that one. Any final thoughts?
I mean, the game is just, it keeps you on your toes. You never know how it's going to go. I really like the tethered idea. That was an interesting concept.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely had a lot of strategy you had to put into it. A lot of fucking someone over.
Yeah.
Do you think Jacob would have been as much of a target if he wasn't tethered to Spencer?
Yes, because I think people were mad about the Muna blow up. But I mean, if saying that means that Spencer would somehow be an available target, then probably not. No, because I think Spencer is always going to be the number one priority. But I still do think Jacob would have been on a few people's radars. Maybe if, well, no, I guess not, because it worked out perfectly in the sense that like you couldn't vote for Spencer directly because you didn't want to fuck over Billy. So it was very layered and interesting.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see in episode 5 who returns and which floater keeps getting further in the game. Well, as for now, I want to thank you for joining me for 2 episodes. We'll see you when this returns in a few weeks.